L'Orchestre Symphonique de Montréal with the overture to Rossini's The Barber of Seville. It is 11 minutes after 12. You are listening to Intermezzo here on Winnipeg's Classic 107, brought to you by the Fort Garry Hotel, Conference Center, and Spa. I'm your I'm your guest host. I'm still getting used to being host of Intermezzo. I'm Claudia Garcia de la Huerta. Well, why did we play The Barber of Seville? Because this weekend, Manitoba Opera opens its production of Rossini's The Barber of Seville. I hope you have your tickets, because if the phone calls that we're getting every time we give away tickets is any indication, this opera is going to sell out quick. And I'm really excited to say that I have with me the baritone who is singing Figaro. Elliot Madore is in the studio. Welcome back, Elliot.
Thank you. Happy to be back.
It's been a couple of years, but we're so pleased to have you back. I know the last time that you were here, we talked extensively about how you got started in singing quite young, as a young lad in Toronto in Etobicoke. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention who we're dealing with. This is a gentleman who, at the very young age of 22, one of the youngest, won the Metropolitan Opera National Council audition. Congratulations.
Thanks.
Since then, you've had an amazing career. You've sung on some of the biggest opera stages in the world. What has the journey been like for you?
Well, it's been a whirlwind for sure. Everything has certainly snowballed since winning the Met competition, and I've been fortunate enough to sing in some of the biggest opera houses in the world, and it's been a dream, singing and being an international singer, and yeah.
What was the biggest shock for you when you entered into this world?
I think the biggest shock for me was really just the idea that you're really on your own. And I think being in school and being in a young artist program when I was at the Metropolitan Opera Young Artist Program, you really have a sense of community. But one of the biggest challenges being an opera singer is that you're traveling all over the world, and you're really on your own. You're in countries where you don't speak the language necessarily. You're moving from place to place every month, and it can be quite challenging because, you're spending lots of hours in hotel rooms by yourself, and you have to fill the time the best you can, and you have to be comfortable in your solitude, and that's certainly something that I've learned over the years.
And how do you keep up your regimen? I mean, I always like to explain to friends and family that aren't necessarily versed in the classical musical world that opera singers to me are like athletes.
Absolutely.
With, what you do with your voice. So how do you keep that in shape when you're traveling all over the place on planes, germs,
right, exactly.
different hotel rooms? How do you do it?
Well, I think every day, I try to vocalize and I make sure I keep up with that every single day. That's certainly part of my regimen. I try to eat as healthy as possible. I try to exercise when I can. And you're right. It's really, we are truly Olympic athletes in that sense. You have to keep in shape, stay in shape with your voice, and you have to make sure that you're always progressing. And that's certainly a challenge, especially when you're traveling. It's very, very difficult to do that, but you have to make sure that you stay on top of that.
So speaking of eating, it's lunchtime. What's your lunch like?
Well, you know what? I got up a little bit late today because I have a performance tonight. We have our final dress rehearsal. And so I got up a little bit late, had some oatmeal with some honey, and had some fruit. So That's what I had.
Singers, listen up. Some insight to Elliot's food regimen.
Well, I got my Tim Hortons coffee. That's also a huge part of it, too.
Now, because you've been performing on all these different stages, you've also been performing different types of music, everything from classical repertoire to new music. In fact, I think you're going from here after Manitoba Opera to, is it Dallas? Do I have it right? No.
No, but I was just in Amsterdam before this, performing The Girls of the Golden West.
That's what I was thinking
exactly,
about. Yeah.
So that was a newly composed opera by John Adams, We premiered that in San Francisco. We brought it to Amsterdam, so that's where I was. And new music is something that I'm always interested in doing. I love creating and doing these new pieces. It's a challenge. It keeps things fresh, and I like keeping that versatility. I think it's important in one's career to have that, so that you always feel fresh and that everything stays interesting.
So we're never going to see you kind of in one part of the operatic world.
I would hope not, because I think it's important to keep that versatility rather than staying in sort of a niche. Although I certainly love to sing the standard repertoire, I think it's always good to stay open to new experiences.
You've gotten to play so many of the biggest roles in opera for baritone. Is there one that you still have not done and you want to do?
I'd love to do Eugene Onegin. That's something that I've always wanted to do. It's ever since I've seen Dmitri Horsovsky do it on the Met stage, I was just, as a young singer, completely blown away. And it's just such a powerful opera, and I love the journey that the character takes. So that's certainly something that I've had my eye on. So we'll see what happens.
Now, this is not the first time that you have played Figaro in the Barber of Seville. You did it on the Met stage.
I did, yeah.
What are the challenges for an opera singer to, maybe I don't know if they're challenges, but what are the differences between doing it with one opera company and then going to do the same opera with another company?
I think one of the challenges that you have to have when you're doing a role for the second time or third time is to always stay open, because every director is going to have a different take on the character. Every production is going to be different, so you have to remain flexible. And I think one of the traps that an opera singer can fall into is to be slightly rigid with their personal interpretation of the role. So I try to be as open as I can, and when I go to a new production, it's really like a clean slate. So I try to sort of leave all my ideas of what the character is sort of in the background. Of course, I'll bring that to the table if, the director and I have a conversation about it. But I really try to reinvent the character every single time that I do it.
So tell us about the character of Figaro and how he plays in The Barber of Seville.
Well, Figaro is he's a jack of all trades. He can do everything from he can cut your hair. He's a barber to giving you dental surgery, veterinarian, anything you can think of. He does it. He does it, and he's really a hustler. He knows how to get paid. He knows how to get money, and everybody loves him. Everybody knows him in town. So he's just such a fun character to play. I mean, I can't get enough of this guy. He's it's just so fun.
So what are the different nuances in this Figaro for Manitoba Opera that the audience can look for? Well,
I think in this particular production, I think he sort of checks all those boxes. He really is just this fun-loving guy. He's a character who, helps out the Count. He helps him get the girl, and comes up with all these, genius ideas to help him there, and he's that's who Figaro is, and I think in this production he's certainly traditional in that sense, that he's really the jack of all trades, fun-loving guy, hustler. I think really he checks all those boxes.
The Barber of Seville was actually my very first opera.
Oh, really?
And it was Manitoba Opera, and I was a high school student, and we went tonight, I guess, the dress rehearsal,
That's right.
Student night, and I was so blown away. So the Barber of Seville will always hold a very special place in my heart. What, for someone that has never been to the opera, and this may be their first one, What do you have to say to them?
Well, firstly, I would say, this is the perfect first opera to go to. It's funny. The music is fantastic. It's all the characters sort of eat up the stage. And, I highly recommend this opera. If you haven't seen an opera before, go to this one. You'll love it. You'll have a great time. You'll feel cultured but you'll also, have a great laugh. It's the perfect combination of everything. So I would say see it, you'll love it, go.
I'm going. You've convinced me. No need to convince me. We have so many opera fans as part of our listeners, and I know, Manitoba Opera never disappoints, so this
Absolutely.
will be another great one. All right, so, let's listen to some more music from the Barber of Seville as we say goodbye. What would you like to hear?
I'd like to hear Russell Braun sing Largo al factotum della città.
Tell us about this piece.
It's Figaro's first entrance. This is his first aria, and he's going off to work, and he's saying, "Make way for the factotum," and it's. I'm sure you'll recognize it.
Elliot Madore, so nice to see you again. Really looking forward to seeing you on the stage at Centennial Concert Hall. And good luck in all your future roles. And congratulations, I just met your fiance.
Yes, thank you.
When is the wedding?
May 16th.
Oh, so it's coming up right away.
Yeah.
Definite
We're really
big
excited.
congratulations.
Thank you very much.
We'll see you on the stage.
See you then.